Steve Cooper. Here. Heather Gardner. Javier Nira. Present. Sandino Thompson.
Present.
Joanne Davis. Present. Mike Mize.
Here.
Steve Mason.
Thank you. For purposes of this agenda, action means any of the following: amending, approving, approved as amended, deferring, denying, giving instructions to staff, making recommendations to another public body, receiving documents or presentations, referring to the committee, reconsidering, reopening, returning, or striking the item. Agenda item 1 is approval of minutes. Is there any discussion? Move to approve. Is there a second? Second. Okay. Any discussion from the committee? Any public comments? Cassie, let's vote.
Steve Cooper.
Yes. Yes.
Heather Gardner. Javier Nira.
Yes.
Sandino Thompson.
Yep.
Joanne Davis.
Yes.
Mike Mize.
Yes.
Steve Mason.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Item 2 is under recurring items. It's discussion and possible action regarding the planning, design, management, and construction of the new Oklahoma County Adult Detention Center. Stacy.
I don't have a lot of new information on that. I would tell you both sides are talking, which is good. We're in discovery right now, so a lot of documents are being prepared. Discovery will last for about the next 30 days. And then depositions are the 30 days after that. Depositions end, I think, December 17th. There's a preliminary hearing on January, can't remember, it's the 13th or the 23rd. So that's where we stand on that issue. Is there any questions about that? And then we're still tracking 2 budgets, the 1,800 bed and the 2,400 bed. The count today was 1,579 inmates. Over 1,300 of those are medium and maximum security. So if we were to house those adequately today, we need over 1,700 beds as I stand here. So I think we're on track with the right numbers.
Okay, we're going to jump to item 6, respecting Chantel's schedule, which is discussion and possible action regarding the RFP request for proposal, public-private partnership proposals for the Oklahoma County Adult Detention Center, including but not limited to creating a new committee. Chantel.
Hello, everybody. As you may already know, we issued a RFQ for public-private partnerships and received 3 responses from Raymond James, Morgan Stanley, and Jeffries LLC. The proposals that we received were distributed to the committee. The Board of County Commissioners did assign those to be reviewed by this committee, which is why this item is on your agenda today. The proposals, even though we did receive some preliminary percentages and rates, there's a lot more information that needs to be dug into. Some exceptions, some alternates that were provided as well, which is also why a review committee would be recommended to really dig into these, as we have on some of our other proposals together. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but that's what is being presented today.
Can you also discuss your desire to form a committee?
Oh yes, absolutely. So a committee could would be representatives that would not be subject to the Open Meetings Act. Also, there's a desire to include bond counsel as well, and other parties that you may deem would be able to review these proposals and give feedback. They could meet at other times and have schedules accommodate with those times with those individuals. That kind of is the basis of having a review committee, to kind of keep things going along. The review committee would report back to this body, who would then ask questions or ask the review committee to dig into further information or investigation, and then you all could recommend to the Board of County Commissioners.
Questions for Chantel?
No, but I would like to volunteer for the committee and would like to suggest that in addition to bond counsel and other members from this body, that we also include either Marissa Treat or her designee, because I think the devil is in the details in all of these proposals. And the more financial background folks we have on the committee, the stronger the decision will be.
I'd be willing to serve on that.
Jared, are you with Marissa's office?
Jason Nelson is also here with, yes, he's with Marissa's office.
Do you want to be on our committee?
I think the proposal was Marissa herself or her designee.
Someone from that office. Okay. Any discussion? Motion?
I move the committee be formed as Chantel described it.
I'll second.
I do have a question. So are we naming committee members? Are we, the motion is a little vague for me.
I would say we first form the committee and then, are you going to be on the committee? I would think
Yes.
so. You,
I
you
think
drive
that
the
would be a
train
good
to
idea.
fill it with members and
We would provide a summary of findings back to this body.
And I sense Cassie suggesting maybe in your motion, you name who from this committee's on it. I guess Chantel would probably leave it as our purchasing officer.
Chantel would be chair. Members from this committee would be Mike and Javier and others.
I think
So-
Sandino raised his hand as well.
Oh, Sandino as well. And others as that group may deem necessary and beneficial.
And the clerk or her designee.
If the committee is not subject to the Open Meetings Act, as long as there's not a quorum created by this body, which would be 4 members or more, I am not necessarily sure that a clerk would need to be present.
I mean, can't we simply move to form the committee under Chantel's leadership with membership from this committee and others as they determine needed?
I think that's possible. It may be cleanest just to list the number of members. And I think in the capacity as a member, not necessarily as duty as clerk, the motion was that she would serve in that review committee capacity rather than a clerk to an official meeting. Is that what your
Right.
motion was? Yes. So I,
Subcommittee.
yeah. So I believe members listed so far is Chantel Boso, purchasing representative, Javier Sandino, Mike Mize, Jared Davidson for bond counsel, Marissa Treat or her designee.
Yes, ma'am.
And I will make sure that is all in writing.
Thank you for the clarification.
That way there's no possibility of another member joining that would create a
Quorum.
conflict with the act.
Is there any
So
committee
moved.
discussion? Public discussion? Can we have a vote, please?
Second.
Motion passes. Thanks, Chantel.
Wonderful, no problem. I'll get that scheduled and we'll get together. Thank you.
Ma'am.
All right, now we'll go to item 3, which is discussion and possible action on the budget update cost estimate from Flintco.
It's Mike Atkinson with Flintco. I've put on in front of each one of you kind of three sheets that are part of this budget that I've got the full budget to Stacy that you wanted to see the full thing, but those are kind of the summaries. One is a summary of where it stands today. And the other page is, one side is the BBC, kind of a progress, how the budgets have been going. And the other side is the detention. This budget is basically based on the DD3 drawings, which are basically just an update of the drawings. The next two budgets are a little more, going to be a little more detailed, going to have a lot more information on them based on the drawings. Because in the second detail will be the GMP, or the guaranteed maximum price for the BCC. That will be due in December. So this budget was, my team was instructed to kind of look and see the last budget, this budget, what changed, if there was any major changes. And then we were going to go, this next set of drawings, we just got this last week. We were going to then go a little deeper diving in. So that's what we did. And everything was going fine as far as on the BCC. Money was changing up and down a little bit, just as we find out more information. There was only one thing that gave us some pause, and it was in some low voltage electrical budgeting that we've done. We saw there was some major differences in counts on things like card readers and cameras and stuff. So that's basically what this kind of reveals, is that, hey, there's been a big change here. We need to, and we're going to discuss it tomorrow, I think, with the architects and engineers, just to understand why the change. Is it needed? Is it something that's that we can maybe understand a little better, and we can maybe adjust the budget with? But as you can see, the BEC jumped up a little bit. It's a big chunk, but it was all basically in that one item. So we'll be working on that and know more about that as we go forward. On the detention, there was a lot more information. We just now got the soils reports, and the foundations are now, they're kind of settling on foundations. So things like the civil and the foundations, which we've been kind of waiting on, and we've just been using conceptual budgets, we'll have a lot more information in this next go round. So I think this next budget will be a real strong indicator of where we're at. But as far as the BCC, we're on course to get a guaranteed maximum price to everyone by mid-December, so we qualify for those ARPA funds.
My question is, can you send this electronically to Cassie so that we could get it electronically as well?
Mm-hmm.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, this was just put together. I'll be able to put together this in a digital form to send today.
Thank you.
Do I understand you've got soils information, but it's not in this DD3 yet?
It hasn't, I guess it hasn't really been designed. Foundations haven't been designed yet on the detention. On the BCC it has. They're pretty close. We've got a pretty close budget on that. On the detention, it's switched. No longer shallow footings. Now it's going to drilled piers. Hasn't been designed yet. So we're still in this budget. We're still in with our conceptual foundations that we've had since day one. Basically, we play around with it. But, so it's going to change some, but we have time to make those changes and to make some decisions on the detention. BCC is the one we want to focus on and get to our GMP. So
I have a question. What is the earliest that we could start actual work on the site?
You know, I'm gonna say, you know, if we've always said we get a GMP mid-December, get your approval and everything by the end of December for the ARPA funds. We'd like to be able to move some dirt in January. That'd be and this may not be the right time to talk about. We talk about how much dirt do we want to remove. We have some just at the BCC, but we could do the whole site, not with maybe ARPA funds, but you have some funds and do the whole site at one time would be the prudent thing to do, and you wouldn't be messing up any. If you had to sell the land for some reason, you could. It wouldn't devalue the land at all. So there'd be some decisions made as how much dirt should we start moving in January. We will,
January.
but that's what we're shooting for. Depends on the civil engineering. Like I say, they should have it already by that time, but we have to get it bid out. So it might be into January, 1st February is the idea.
Thank you.
Is that contingent upon resolution of the legal issues?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think you could.
We're not supposed to ask that question.
That's to be
Opinion?
determined, I think.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't say that. But yeah, it's a possibility.
I know we talked about previously getting a third-party estimate to compare against. I think I saw that that happened. Can you remind me who did that? Or if that
Third,
has been done?
third party ordered by,
Estimate on the detention
yeah,
center.
White and Associates,
White and
Bill
Associates?
White.
Okay.
Stacy, looking at the behavioral care in his numbers, I think they total about 42,837,000. At one point, I thought I'd heard we had 41. Are we okay at this 42 number?
Actually, let's see what it is. Actually, with the 80 beds, it's 49 with the alternate. 80 beds is 49, with the alternate, it's about 40.
Let me start over. What's the cost? Do we have the money?
Well, it's 43 with the 60 beds and 49 with the 80 beds. So we're still tracking both those budgets. The extra 20 beds are going to be in there as an ad alternate. And the money has been fluctuating because we had close to 50, and then we had to buy the land, bought it out of this account, and some other monies went to the existing jail for kind of an emergency situation down there, but those are coming back. I don't know the date and time I'll get them back, but so we're going to have probably somewhere between 40 and 45 million to work with when we get ready to sign the GMP.
Would it be reasonable, possible to ask for like total project budgets that come along with these? Because we're just looking at construction dollars, and obviously there's a lot of other costs, and see a total project budget with this most recent current construction estimate plugged into that. Because that's the money we have to go find, right? It's the total project, not just these.
Yes, and I tracked that, and I have. I think I gave it to you a meeting or two ago, and I should have given it to you again.
Okay.
I can always email that to all of you. And I
No
will.
urgency, but just, sometimes it's hard to just look at these in isolation without seeing the rest of it.
Do have a sheet that's FF&E in here, but it really is just for discussion purposes, because the FF&E budget is being handled by the owner. But we do have something in there to throw at, for instance, for about $1.8 million or something like that is additional costs on top of, is what we anticipated. But engineering fees are already paid for, I guess, so that's what they're, so it's really just FF&E costs, and that's still fluctuating too, but it'll be in the electronic version when I say it.
So Mike, am I correct that this says for 60 bed, it's 42,837,000?
Yeah, you're taking that and you're subtracting those two red numbers down below. It's 49 million for the 80 bed minus those two you should just take the first alternate.
Right.
And it's around 43, I think, if you take it.
So call it 43 million, Stacy?
Yeah.
Plus FFE?
Yeah.
Plus et cetera, et cetera? Do you have enough ARPA money for this project?
It's going to be tight, but yeah, I think so. And remember, we're earning interest too, as well.
Thank you.
And the next budget, we didn't do it on this one, but the next budget, we will reverse it to where the base bid will be the 60 bed and it'll be an ad alternate. Up until now, we've been giving it 80 bed with a deduct alternate, but we'll want to bid it the other way around, and I will be reversing the budget. So it'll get a little confusing, but it will be the same numbers, just turned around on the BCC.
Other questions for Mike? Public questions? Are we done with Flintco item 3? Okay. Item 4 is discussion and possible action to receive a report from HOK on design development, DD, and recommended completion of this phase. The Board of County Commissioners therefore moving into construction documents phase or require more work to be completed in the DD phase.
All right. So I'm Kurt Pardee with HOK. So I have a little bit of a presentation today, just trying to update everyone on what we're doing. We're going to talk a little bit about schedule and the packages and how they're going to come out on the project in the next few months. Just to kind of, bring everyone back to the project. This image really just kind of helps you see that the big building is the detention center. Towards the rear of the detention center is the intake diversion area. And then to the left is the behavioral care center for the project. So you were just talking about the behavioral care center piece in terms of the $43 million. Again, from a planning standpoint, the front entrance for the facility will be along Grand Avenue. That's the entrance to the jail, the courts, the administrative spaces for the county, for the detention officers. And then the behavioral care center will have the entrance off of 22nd Street. And of course, that's for the diversion center piece, the behavioral health piece down there in purple. And I know you've seen enough of these images. This is the front entrance for the jail. This is the front entrance for the BCC. So in the last month and a half, we've been meeting with the departments, going over finishes, showing new images of spaces, so the county understands what it is they're getting in this project. The image on the left is the second floor of the administrative part of the building. So that's the public area on the east side of the complex. So the second floor is where the 2 courtrooms are, the 4 courtrooms, actually 4 courtrooms. So it's just this is outside of the courtroom space. It just kind of helps you see, that's where the courts are. At the end of that hall is some space for the county clerk's offices. We've discussed that with them. On the right is a typical housing unit. So this happens to be a 56-bed unit. As you know, this is the main level plus a mezzanine for all of the housing throughout the facility. So this is a typical 56-bed unit with the cells kind of surrounding 2 sides of a day room. In the center of that blue wall is where the detention officer sits. So that's a direct supervision detention officer. Behind that detention officer is the rec yard. So every housing area has its own rec yard, as opposed to what you have right now. Everyone goes up to the roof, and of course that doesn't happen. So, this is how that imagery works for your typical detention pod. The color of the walls that will vary throughout the facility. So each housing pod will have its own color. This is to aid everybody in remembering where they are in the building. They're designated to a specific pod, and it provides a little bit of color. It's really inexpensive, but it just kind of helps delineate the facility. The furniture you see in this image is included in the construction cost because this is detention furnishings. So the steel tables, the bunk, the stools, the other benches, all that is included in the construction cost. And then the cells themselves are outfitted as well. So they will have the bunks and the toilet and the lavatory, the mirror, all those things are part of the construction costs for the project. Something that we do a lot with these kinds of facilities is in the center of the ceiling, it's really standard acoustical tile. It's up there a ways, it's out of reach of everybody. And so, having this kind of environment, it helps to reduce noise, to have that up there. It's just a way to save cost. But it's really, you notice it. I've been in facilities that don't have that, and it's an acoustical nightmare. So we try to introduce some soft features where we can to help reduce the noise issues. One other really nice thing about this housing unit is it gets a bunch of natural daylight into the housing area from the rec yard. So that's a non-covered rec yard, so you're getting daylight in through all those windows. So during the day, when in a medium security area and some maximum security areas, inmates will be out in the day room all at one time. But this just helps everyone, to kind of understand where they're at during the day. getting their natural light, and it's just a nicer facility for the officers as well as the inmates. Okay. These on the left here, we have an exercise area for staff. It's very simple finishes, but this is on the lower level of Area A under the administrative portion of the building. So a small workout area for staff. And then to the right is the eating area for staff. So that's also in the administrative area. It's on the second floor. Again, very simple finishes, but space for detention officers, administrative, courts, whoever is working for the county is able to come and use this space. And finally, these images are on the left is the main public lobby. So as you're coming into the detention center, if you're a visitor, a family member, an attorney, whoever is coming for court, you're coming in the front doors. This is the main lobby. It's a little bit of a two-story space before you go up the steps, and you would go up to courts, or you'd go to the left further where there are secured windows where you'd start talking with the people that manage the facility. So this is just a small waiting area up on the left. And then on the right is the entrance to the administrative space. Again, this is a much smaller lobby, but detention officers, staff coming in for the day, leaving, people coming for training, because this building also has training area in it. Everyone will come in the front doors, and if they go to the right, they'll be going to the training areas, the workout space, the locker rooms. If they go to the left, they'll be going to the briefing room. If they go upstairs, they're going to the administrative spaces. So that's kind of how that works. So the overall design team, it's a lot more than just HOK working on this. We have a full design team, and we have a lot of a lot of partners here in Oklahoma City that are helping us. We have Reese, of course, who's our associate architect. We have CEC, who is our civil engineering firm. HFSD, who is our landscape architect. ZFI, who is our structural engineer. And then we have some consultants that are very technical. They know these kinds of buildings really well that we've worked with before. So we have Jensen Hughes, who has been doing the code analysis and smoke evacuation analysis for all the housing areas. SDI, who is developing the food service and laundry equipment spaces. Those also will be part of the construction cost in the building. And then Brightsight, who is the low voltage and AV consultant for the BCC. And then, I can't read it from here. The last two on the bottom. Who was that? Oh, yes, thank you. So Titus is a consultant we had on board to help us with operational planning. So trying to discuss and figure out the cost for operating the buildings. I should say Titus for the detention center, and then Matthias Consulting helped us with the behavioral health center. So that kind of rounds out the team that's working on the project. We're currently at over 1,600 pages of documents. That's why I don't have them here in front of you today to kind of leaf through all of them, because it would take us literally until sometime tomorrow to kind of go through those. But we have two specifications volumes right now. We're actually going to have a separate set of specifications for the BCC project since it's going to GMP earlier and go into construction earlier. And then for the detention center, there are 6 volumes of drawings, and you can kind of see the breakout there. The general life safety sheets, the civil engineering and landscape design sheets, that's volume 1. Volume 2 is the structural engineering. Volume 3 is the architecture and interiors. Volume 4 is the mechanical, HVAC, plumbing, fire safety, food and laundry drawings. Volume 5 is electrical, AV, telecom. And volume 6 is physical security, electronic security, signage, and FF&E. That's for the detention center. For the behavioral care center, it's a much smaller building, so it's all in one volume. And that includes all those same items just in one volume for the BCC. So looking at the schedules, of course, the BCC is front and center because, we're trying to get this allocated before the end of 2024. So we submitted CD1 package to Plintco on October 7th. So they're, as Mike said, they're looking at that as we speak. CD2 package will be submitted November 8th. I believe that's the package you're going to use to GMP. So we're trying to get all that information into the package right now, meaning the details, all the specifications, really understanding how the building is going to be built. So all that will be in the November 8th package. We're doing a separate package December 20th that we're going to be submitting to the State Fire Marshal's Office and the Oklahoma Department of Health for approvals. So once we hear back from them, we'll incorporate that into a final BCC construction package. So that's kind of how that project is lining up. For the detention center, sure.
So looking at these dates, will this allow us to break ground in January?
Have you had conversations with Clint about that? I think.
Yeah.
Come up here.
You want to go on what the thinking is, and it's the possibility. We don't have to wait till.
Mike, can you come with the microphone, please?
Josh Patterson, Flintco. So the thought process right now, we'll get these drawings for November 8th and put together the GMP associated with that. And then in December, we'll put out a package for earthwork and demolition that we can bid out in December. And then that will allow us to start moving, moving earth in January, get the site ready and prepped. And then as the final drawings come out January 27th, those will go out to bid in February and look to start utilities and concrete work, later part of February, 1st of March.
Josh, while you're up there, have you received, are you guys working on early bid packages for equipment that's long lead items, or are there items that in the BCC that are going to require a long lead time and need to be done early?
We're currently not looking at that, doing any separate early bid package other than the earthwork and demo. There's still a little bit of concern with electrical equipment with the market, but feel like kind of as we're reviewing this latest set of CDs and looking at the complexity of that electrical gear, it feels like we can put that out with the normal electrical contract and be able to buy it in enough time or have it delivered to support the completion of the construction by the end of 26.
Any other questions on that? Okay.
I have one question. Your first page where you listed, I guess, all your primary subs.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'm trying to figure out with those subs that you've listed in terms of your design teams and all of those people, how are they going to, in terms of their employees, or how are you going to do locally, any local hires? Are they trying to figure out how we're going to get this so that people that are in our city, in our county, will be able to be a sub to a sub to a sub if it goes down that far? You got a lot of out of town folks. I'm just trying to figure out, is there going to be a line to help facilitate employment in our county?
Yes. So Reese, CEC, HFSD, ZTI, those are all local. The others, the others are out of town. I think as Plintco gets more involved in the construction, of course, that's when a lot of people will be getting involved in the project locally as well.
I guess my next question, because it's always interesting to, of course, our taxpayers, how much of that literally those dollars flow down in terms of employment. Is there any way that we're going to be able to track that? I know it might be impossible, but the issue I'm trying to get to is that oftentimes when we start talking about these large construction projects, we never get down to who actually benefited from employment relative to the dollars, the tax dollars that were spent. I'm just asking a question.
Sure. In terms of our contract with the county, um, we have fees established with all those firms, so we could get that information, to Stacy if you want. I think it's more a contractor. I agree, but yeah.
Yeah, Joanne. Um, so what we've done to date here, just I think it was a month ago, maybe a month ago, we held a kind of a mixer at our office to bring in local and small utilized businesses. Brought them into our office to talk about specifically this project, but just some other project coming down the pipeline, so that we can start generating that interest in the job. We're still, we're governed by the state procurement laws here, so we'll have to follow those as we go to bid out. But from a tracking purpose, that can be, we currently do that as we work with the city of Oklahoma City. We have local, locally utilized business reporting that we do on a monthly basis that we transmit to the city with a pay application. So we'll be able to kind of follow that same process so that we understand, what businesses are, getting the money from the project.
I think that's a great point, and I wonder if, as we make the case for this in the community, if there's some way to take a swing at the local economic impact, the number of labor dollars that, I know you don't know who's gonna be low bidder sitting here today, but you could probably guess what percentage of 677 million is labor. I don't know if we had that as a tool in our toolkit as we make a case for this. I don't know, is that possible on the build side?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably a way to, on the detention center side, come up with somewhat of a forecast of what those labor dollars are going to be, and then, at least, pre-bid, make an educated guess of what we think potential local labor dollars are associated with the detention center, and then obviously post-bid as those contractors are awarded, and then we could hone in tighter on that and then be able to track that as we move through the project.
So given the magnitude of the project, have you thought about finding specific scopes that you could break down into smaller packages so that they could be bid by more local or minority contractors as well to include everyone?
We've started doing some brainstorming on that. We haven't identified all of our bid packages at this point. But yeah, I think for a lot of reasons, with just the amount of construction going on in the greater Oklahoma City area right now, I think we're going to have to be strategic in how we package some of these things up. We're getting a lot of contractors that are starting to max out on bonding capacities, so that's becoming a challenge. And so just strategizing, how do we divide some of the scope up that maybe normally, we would lump together for ease of some coordination or something, but how can we break it apart to give some more opportunities out there?
So I think, Mike, I'd ask that at your presentation to us next time, you make this in a part of your presentation, because I know you guys are working on the answer, but in your presentation next time, please make that an item you discuss. Because these are both very good questions that you're sorting through. Thank you.
Just a couple more slides, really. Just as we're getting into the detailed design, development of all the drawings, there's all the disciplines are developing their own set and their own package that will be used for the bidding process. There's a lot of site information to be developed. So our CEC has been working on all the engineering stuff. We have to continue to get information about existing utilities and drainage and how all that works. Of course, the geotechnical information is very helpful so that we can finish design of the foundations for the jail. And all that is going to be wrapped up in the next few months. It's going to be wrapped up by the end of the year on the BCC. Even for the jail, it'll be trailing a little bit. Landscape design has been developed. We've put some focus on the Grand Avenue, trying to make that look a little nicer, since it's it's forward facing to the public, and so we have paid attention to that as well. Same with building code analysis. Again, we're submitting a package to the state fire marshal's office and to the State Department of Health for their reviews of the BCC late December. And we'll do the similar process on the detention center when we get to that point.
We're submitting for outside approval to two state agencies, Health Department and Fire.
Yes.
But we're not submitting to the city for a building permit, so to speak, because the county handles that internally, and we will continue that way. So someone tells us we can't? Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. This is just an overall of the detention center project. Again, on the right, those are the public areas in green. I'm really trying to show here is the alternates. So we have the two alternates, the 224 beds and 224 beds. So that's 448 beds total. That would be an add alternate to this. So we have for the base bid, which Mike mentioned that'll come out next time around, will be the 1,800 bed base bid number. So that's how this is being set up going forward. There are a couple of other alternates. The two additional courtrooms, we currently still have that as an alternate. Does that, we want to go to 4 total? Okay, so this will not be an alternate moving forward. We're going to put it in the base bid. Okay. So yeah, this drawing just shows the mezzanine level for all the housing units, and then the second level for the public facing areas with the courts and administration on the east side. And finally, the behavioral care center, the 60 beds, there are 3 20-bed units. Those are kind of in beige, and then the center piece that's kind of blue, that's the admin and clinical space for the BCC. And then as an alternate, we're doing the additional 20 beds and the courtyard that's adjacent to it as a separate alternate, which you already had broken out, I saw. So, yeah. This is just a compilation of those alternates. So we'll be changing that just a little bit, taking the courtroom one out, and that'll become base bid. That's it for the presentation. Any questions?
Questions from the committee, questions from the public? So I want to return to this agenda, Stacy. There's a recommendation for us to make a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners. I'm somewhat confused. Is DD done? Or are we recommending to continue?
Design development will be done in about 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
The last design development package will be done in 2 weeks. It's already done, basically. That's what they kind of showed you, some stuff today. There's 1,600 pages. Unfortunately, my staff and I have seen most of them. like for you guys to see them if you would like to volunteer. Maybe we can get all 1,600 pages to you, but they're needing permission to move from design development into construction documents.
So where I'm a little confused with this recommendation, it says recommendation of completion of this phase. Are we recommending they accept DD as done?
Yes.
Or they continue with?
No, if you're comfortable with what you've seen, what they presented, if you got all your questions answered, we would like for you to call that phase complete and authorize them to go into construction documents. If you're feeling like they've left a lot of stones unturned and there's detail missing and you got a bunch of questions, and we can keep them on the DD phase. But
Do we have a,
yeah, now the BCC, you did this step quite a while back, and they're already into CDs on the behavioral care center. This is really more for the detention center piece.
will Flintco do a budget update on the final DDs?
Yes.
The next budget will be the DD4 for the detention center. That's the
DD4 is
final DD.
the last
That's
of the
last
DD budgets.
And the BCC, it's already been done.
Yeah.
We're in the CDs now.
So do we need that before we move into CDs, or to affirm we're okay on track, or probably no variations?
Well, I don't like to jinx things. We're on a pretty good roll. I like to keep things moving, but I don't want you guys to be uncomfortable. I mean, it's always a big milestone to move from schematics to design development to CDs. And you'll have more shots at the plans. I mean, we can make changes in CDs as well, but
And we'll draw the CDs with 1,800 beds with an option or adult, or so we don't have to pick one size or the other to make this
Right.
decision. We'll draw both, and then
well, there was tend to bid it as the 2,400 bed is the ad alternate.
So I think our decision is, do we want to receive the DDs and say, we're done, recommended to the Board of County Commissioners? Or tell them to keep going, and we'll look at them again in the future.
remember what the spend is on CDs? What's the cost?
I think we're about 50. Are we 50%? Yeah, the end of DDs is about 45. I was thinking 50%. So there's still quite a bit of work left to do in the CD phase.
Yeah, will there be other budgeting milestones between end of DDs and final CDs?
Yeah, I think we've got it set up for CD 1 through 4. CD packages 1 through 4.
So if we approve CD now, it won't have any other requests for approval before moving forward. It'll just kind of roll through, correct?
Yeah,
Like,
we'll move into CD 1 package.
Could we
development.
request a 75% checkpoint? At which point we would be able to review the DD costing, see if there's, I mean, would that make it
Or even
more
milestone,
comfortable for the team potentially?
or even CD1,
Correct.
CD2, CD3.
Yeah. Oh, could you put my thing back up? Thank you. So here we have the 75% detention center drawings are going to be available January 27th. So, you know, these are the milestones that were set. So the CD1, CD2, CD3, CD4, and so on. Each one of those, we're giving a new package to Flintco for pricing and further discussion. And, you know, as we, that's a good checkpoint. Those right there are going to be the checkpoints.
That's a lot happening in the Flintco office, getting a GMP on a BCC and doing all these budget updates. You guys are nodding in agreement. Should we acknowledge that maybe that's not realistic and we need to focus on the BCC in December and get your pricing done and then give you the detention center to rebudget?
These guys I've earned like to be busy.
They will, but there's only so many hours in the day and they will.
That's our plan. The October 7th, the DD4s, that's the last DDs of the detention. We've got those in hand now. We'll be giving you a budget November 12th, I think, on that one. In the meantime, we'll also be working on those CD1 package. When we go to the December 20th, I agree. I'm gonna be focusing on the GMP for the behavioral care. So that's what's going to take up a lot of my time. That particular budget of the detention center may be just kind of a brush through of, let's just see, does it look like much has changed? Okay, not much changed, no big things are happening, and then focus it to the next.
Detention center
At the same time? Great. Okay. Well, that answers our question. On the, for the C.
So you're not submitting CD1, 2, 3.
We're not submitting the CD3 on the detention center because at the same time they're trying to finalize the GMP on the BCC.
The numbers probably.
Yeah, and then CD4 is when they get the big package, the 75%.
It's just you get staggered
We're
there.
happy to.
Well, would we be better off to take a breath and stretch that out a little bit than cranking through the CDs as fast as we can? I know the architects have momentum and that works well in their office, but we don't have money. We don't have a DD budget. And we want to just charge forward and finish CDs on, I don't know.
We'll be focusing on the behavioral care center in December for sure to get the GMP, and the detention may take a back seat for a month till we get the GMP solid.
Well, I don't like the feel of the contractor stepping away from the detention center while the architect charges forward finishing plans. Like, the idea is you guys work together and communicate and tune up budgets. And if you're distracted from doing that on the detention center, we should slow the advance of those documents. And I don't feel like we're hurting ourselves because we don't have the money to
detention
start.
center.
We don't have the money to start. We're not.
And the two teams work together. They meet every Wednesday. Just to let you know, we could skip a couple of Wednesdays to slow the CDs down without affecting your vote here today.
I am in support of Steve's suggestion, especially given that we don't have the money yet, and it's going to be really busy getting that knocked out.
I pretty much agree with both of you. I mean, while I would love to see us move forward, I don't want it to come at the expense of the behavioral care center, which we know we can build.
So I'm not sure how to say it, but approve moving forward with CDs, but at a slow enough pace that Flintco can budget at all the necessary milestones through CDs without distracting themselves from the needed efforts on the BCC. That didn't make any sense. Well, it may kind of make sense, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, the only reason there's the CD3 package for the BCC, there normally wouldn't be. We're doing that because we need to get packages into the fire marshal and the State Department of Health. That's why we're not doing a CD3 on the detention center. It's not typical. In terms of slowing down, that would delay the March 10th completion date. We have 80 people working on this thing. So, I just backing people off. I could back off a little bit. but I can't put the whole team on hold on the detention center. Just would really interrupt things.
Well, I get that. I do, but March 10th is not a magic day for us.
Sure.
We are not going to have the money to build it. So I don't, yeah.
Yeah, I guess the fear too is, if we're building to an amount now, what if we don't get the funding for another year and then that changes the cost and potentially changes the design at some point? So fear of that and keeping it open-ended so that we know what we can actually design to would be important.
Yeah, on the other hand, every month of delay on a project this size is millions of dollars. So, that's why the push to get it underway. I'll do what you guys want for sure, but just putting it out there as well.
Well, yeah,
You don't have the money.
every month of delay is $3 million, but the delay is not the design. The
Mhm.
delay is the funding.
Right. Okay.
Stacy, what do you think?
Well, the funding issue has been, that's been the whole problem the whole time, and it still is. And it's frustrating that we don't have enough money to build what we need to build. And we have, we got some plans to move forward, as you know, with the 3P idea. There's people willing to loan us the money, which was, I didn't think we'd get that, and we did. We got a really pretty good deal. And now we just got one more step. How do we pay it back? And there's some ideas about that, but I remain positive, optimistic, and positive.
Look, guys, the bottom line is it's a very big project. It's not going to be handled like a smaller traditional project. Holding up the architect is not wise. It's expensive. And you cannot start with a small project in mind. You have to start with the whole project in mind. We did not think we were going to get funding. We have 3 very reputable groups that are willing to fund. That was a big challenge, but it's been overcome. The other challenge now is how do we pay that back? And that's revenue streams, and we're working on that. So I don't think that we need to stray too far from the big project goal and distract ourselves with what ifs if until we have a definite no, we don't have the funding. And I've been with this for a long time, and I've seen a number of challenges that we've overcome. I continue to have faith that we're going to work together to get this done. This is a community problem, not a county problem. And we're working on that. It's just not part of this discussion here, but there are many people working on this. This is going to get done.
I totally agree with that, but I also feel like we should give our design and construction folks the greatest opportunity to be successful over the next 90 days. And I feel like we're pushing a lot to them unnecessarily. And I'm not saying we shouldn't move forward. I want to slow down and make sure we budget at the CD milestones, and that Flintco has plenty of time to buy it. They can save us a ton of money if we give them time to buy out this project and focus on that. And if we distract them with other things, that there's only so much capacity there.
I guess this is a question for Flintco. Is this undue stress, or is this something you're accustomed to handling?
I think, as far as Flinko, yes, we're used to handling high-stress situations. This is what we do, and this schedule that's presented is what we've been tracking for the last, since we got selected for the project. And just so you know, like, Mike's our front man as far as his budget goes. He has a team of estimators behind him that help him. They're actively right now working on the DD4 drawing, so it's not just Mike in a silo that's putting these estimates together. We have a team of estimators across a number of areas that are actively working on this project. So we're focused on this schedule. This is what we've been planning for, and that's what we'll go execute.
Well, I want to go back to what I said earlier. My concern is that we sacrifice the quality and the timing on the BCC in order to move forward. If Flintco believes that they can handle this, I'm willing to let them do that and continue to work with HOK to keep this moving forward.
I think it's great that we've made progress on working towards a solution for funding. However, we don't have that solution yet. And I guess at the end of the day, there's a big fear. While I think we will come up with a solution at some point, my biggest red flag since coming on board has been funding. And when we have that promise of funding, then great. But right now, yes, we've made strides, but we aren't there. And so when we have that promise of it, then I think it's adequate to move forward. But I just don't understand the hurry, just like he was mentioning. And it's fine if we want to continue at some level, but to me, there is no rush given the fact that we are not secured in funding currently.
Okay, so the more we delay, the more expense we incur because they're just waiting. This project is going to be built at its best presentation, its best design, right? It's going to be big. If we do the drawings and we shelf the drawings and we don't move forward with construction, it's a lot cheaper than delaying the design and debt construction as well. It's very typical, large projects, mixed-use development especially. You have to phase, but the drawings are done. You know what you're building to. I don't see what the rationale in delaying the design is.
Well, it's not atypical to get to this level of design and go out to find funding for many clients. That's what they do. They get to this level to where they have something to promote and to get buy-in on the funding side and then move forward. So it doesn't seem that out of the question in my mind, given that I do this every day, to wait till we have funding secured. But I will do and support whatever the greater good is.
I just had one other thought that I keep hearing with the number of jails being done around the country that takes all the specialty subs out of play and the amount of work that's going to come and hit this county that's on the books. I would rather have the plans on the shelf. So the minute we get that money, we can go and try to get in front of some of this other stuff. Because if we don't, your $3 million escalation a month is going to skyrocket on you.
The PPP proposals require funding. Don't we assume that that funding is a sales tax and that will be an election sometime mid to late next year?
I don't think we're ready to make a conclusion about how to fund it.
Well, I guess I'm just trying to get a sense of
An
the
option.
timing. I do not want to.
I have 7 options of how to fund this. Javier has multiple options. I don't think anyone's picked the best one.
Understand. I just think funding is the critical path here, not the plan.
No, we agree, but I'm aware of 7 ideas of how to fund this thing. Probably Javier has 7. And yeah, sales tax is an option. Is that fair, Javier?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But for today's purpose, I think we need to continue the design, move to accept the project plan as presented by HOK and Flintco, and let them continue to do work. And I'm ready to make a motion to do so.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. Discussion? I have a part of this discussion. So are we accepting the DD as done or as presented and they keep going?
DD is done.
So that's their suggestion is we accept DD as done.
Yes.
How's that affect your motion, Javier?
It does not.
Are you accepting it as done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have a motion to accept DD as done, I believe.
That's correct.
In a second.
I already did second.
Yeah, I have a second. The motion is to accept DD as done. Cassie will have maybe a better word than done.
Not the same as authorizing CD to move forward.
True, the way it's been presented. I know. But his motion, unless Cassie objects, that's his motion.
So they presented a plan and a schedule to continue their design work. That is what we're voting on. Accept the DDs as done and allow them to continue with their scheduled work.
So my understanding, just to be clear, would be that you're approving the item as written.
As written, yes, ma'am.
One little tweak to it is, that's where I started this conversation. Line 2 says recommend completion of this phase. What I'm hearing is it is completed. This is how I would tweak what's been presented. We are accepting DD as done.
And authorizing moving forward into CD.
Yes, sir. Is that clear, Cassie? Okay. Is there further discussion from the committee? Discussion from the public? Let's vote, please. I think the motion passes, Cassie, 5-2.
That is correct.
So the motion just passed 5-2, approving DD and proceeding with CD. Thank you. So to help me understand, Stacy, reading this, then am I going to the Board of County Commissioners recommending they accept the DDs and we go with CD? That'll be on my list to do. Present this motion to the Board of County Commissioners. Great. Thanks, everyone. Item 5, discussion and possible action regarding a discussion on the anticipated impact of our non-incarceration. I don't think we're doing this today because Timothy was not available.
Yeah, he's the one that has the best information, and he had a conflict and couldn't be here today. So we'll probably have to defer this to your next meeting.
Is that okay, Sadina? We're moving 5 to the next meeting. Okay, thank you. Item 7, discussion and possible action regarding the dates and times of the 2025 regularly scheduled monthly meetings for the Citizens Bond Oversight Advisory Board requested by the clerk of the board, Office of Marissa Tree. How do we do this, Cassie?
So attached is the schedule, and I will pull it up here also. And then if you all have reviewed the dates and agreed to it, you would motion and vote accordingly.
Can you read it to me? Is it just the 4th Tuesday of every month, give or take, or something?
Essentially.
Oh, there it is.
As presented, it is not the 4th Tuesday of every month. Some of them are the 3rd Tuesday. And so if you go to look at your calendar and you have the 4th Tuesday every month, you will miss some meetings because some of them are on the 3rd Tuesday.
It goes based upon really kind of how the month has fallen. Without it being so late in the month, it's kind of closer to where you all have been meeting consistently, which is around the 3rd, sometimes the 4th Tuesday. It's not, if you want to change it, we can change it.
So I mean, I think what'll be immensely important for those of us like me whose schedule is dictated by Outlook is to get the dates. Because if I can't set a recurring date, then I would need them from you guys. Otherwise, I just foresee conflicts arising because I had the wrong week.
That Correct. And that is why we do aim to send out calendar invites per Outlook prior.
Yeah,
So
so-
once the schedule is set, whatever you all decide, we then add them in Outlook and send invites accordingly.
Yeah, as long as we're doing that months ahead of these dates, then I think the dates are fine, because the third and the fourth generally, I mean, the Tuesday is kind of what I got blocked. There are a few meetings I missed because I didn't have the order down, and I don't think I had the invite, which we
Sandino,
fixed.
is that a motion to accept the schedule?
With these caveats, yeah, absolutely.
It does have a meeting on December 23rd. Is that real?
I'll be here for that one.
If you do not want that, we can change it.
Should we move that back a week maybe, or just so
We can look at
for
that.
folks
and
that travel
and we
and,
can bring it back at your next meeting.
or just accept with maybe an adjustment to the December date?
The issue with doing that is I would have to check the rest of our schedules. I would hate to do a
Just to prove it,
conflict
that's
and-
fine.
Yeah. So
We'll figure that out.
So I would move to approve the schedule as presented, with the acknowledgement that electronic invitations will go out forthwith.
I do want to briefly say, you have until December, until, 15th, so you have your November meeting to be able to go through this again if you wanted to do that. That's completely up to you all.
My motion's on the floor.
Any discussion from the committee, from the public? Do a vote, please. Thank you. The final action is citizens' participation. Are there any citizens present who would like to address the board? Are there any board comments?
Just a clarification, in case anybody's wondering, the esteemed reporter from the Oklahoman who shares my last name is not related to me.
Excellent. Any other board comments? Any new business? All right, Cassie, we need to adjourn. Do you need a motion or we adjourn?
If you would, please.
Can I have a motion to adjourn, please? Thanks, everyone.
We are adjourned. Thank you.
Those are good questions about pricing.